Many of our participants have joined the webinar, so let's get this started. So hello everyone, thank you for joining us in today's webinar for cheat-proof online exams. What is the right mix of AI-based and human-led proctoring? My name is Avin and we have Puneet Mathur with us in today's webinar. Puneet is the Director of Innovation and Product Integration at MapleLMS. Uh, in this 30-minute webinar, we'll be covering various elements of online exam. And if any of our participants have any questions, feel free to post them in the Q&A box. We will ensure to respond them during the Q&A, during the Q&A part of this webinar. So welcome, Puneet. We are excited to have you in this webinar today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Evan. I'm doing good, and I hope all the audience are having a nice time today. I'll. I'm glad to be part of this webinar. So yeah, I'm excited.
Wonderful. I really hope that everyone is doing well. So, Puneet, ever since the pandemic hit our world, there was a huge concern surrounding exams and assessments, and institutions, organizations have been struggling to find the best possible solution to overcome the challenges involved with exams. And in this period of time, we have seen organizations taking a modern approach with online exams, which is widely helping. However, there is much more involved in this process, I believe. And today, let's just unfold some of the key elements of conducting online exams. So with that being said, why don't we get started by understanding about some approach? In your understanding, what would be the best or the appropriate approach to set up or conduct online exams?
Sure. And even before even we go to defining what should be the ideal approach, let's first define what are the steps are needed there to actually ensure a smooth conduct of an online exam with keeping in mind the integrity, safeguarding the integrity of the exams. So for example, the first and the foremost step is setup of the exam center. And when I say exam setup, I essentially mean that it is about creating what kind of assessment you are planning, what are the different questions you would want to ask your candidates or learners or students. uh, Create a question bank, because since this is an online exam, you can have uh, random logic, or there are different options that can an online exam center which you can utilize and do all the other configuration. For example, if you want to give a certificate after the completion of exam, so all those kind of things that you may want to do, first create that setup and create that framework. The second step here comes um, enrolling the users or the students or the learners with which who actually want to who will be giving these exams or assessments, and ensuring that they are properly enrolled there, they have access to the platform, and and keeping in mind that there can be questions which these users or will have, because they are online users, they are not somebody who are there physically present at the center, at the hall, in the room where the exam is being conducted. So there should be some other options for them if they encounter any problems. How do they approach that and how do they solve that? The third and this is the most important part of it, like how do you authenticate a user? Because in an online world, how are you or how do you want to authenticate whether this is a correct student, a learner, or a user uh, who who's authorized to give this particular exam? So how do you do that? The fourth step comes in, like when while giving the exam or an assessment, is it a controlled environment? How do you safeguard that the malpractices are avoided? Those kind of things comes in. Um irrespective of whether you authenticate or you control, given control environment, there is a ability in the platform. They should be there should be an ability to proctor the exam or invigilate an exam or an assessment. And once that is done, like whatever is the outcome, whether it's a grade, it's a certificate, that's that goal should be achieved. So these are the some of the steps which have to be ensured while conducting an online exam.
Right, right. Thank you, Puneet. Thank you for that brief explanation. Also, that brings up a question in my mind that there should be some sort of concerns or challenges involved with online exam, and I'm sure you have come across with that. So, why don't you brief us or tell us a little bit about any concerns or challenges that are involved with online exams?
Sure. When we talk about challenges, the challenges are there from both the examiner or proctor side, and also from the examinee or the student or the learner who's giving the exam. So let's first talk about the from the perspective of examiner or from the proctor who is conducting the exam. So the first is like adoption to the online experience. Now, unlike in a physical world where the exams are getting conducted in a hall, in a room, the exam in an online is a different experience. So one has to I would say adopt to that particular online experience. And what's that online experience? The online experience is for example, setting up an exam schedule. uh, when uh, when you are setting up a exam schedule in a traditional manner. When I say traditional, it's like whenever it's done using pen and paper, you are constrained by the physical locations, the other aspect on your seating arrangements, capabilities, etc. So, but when it comes to online, those restrictions actually go off. So you can conduct uh, uh, a large number of exams at the same time. So that's one thing. The other thing is like you may also want to think about like what should be your question in exam pattern. For example, uh, uh, multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks, long answer, short answers. How do you want to put the questions, and what's the easy for the students who are attempting it, and or what's the ideal scenario that you want to achieve from this particular online exam setup. The fourth point is the proctoring of the proctoring experience. When we say proctoring is an inevitable process when it comes to the uh, conduction of the exam, whether it's an online or a physical. Proctoring has to be there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the proctoring, how do you or what are the ways you are doing that proctoring during the exam? So that's another part. And the last but not the least is fraud detection, because ultimately in an online fashion, our objective is to detect fraud and avoid mal practices during the conduct of the exam. So these are the
Right.
challenges that comes from the examiner point of view. But from the student point of view or from the examinee's point of view, again, adoption to the online experience. So they should be comfortable while giving the exam. uh, their anxiety levels should be down, like there should be a kind of a familiarity of the platform while they're giving the exam, or kind of anticipation, like how the exam center will behave, online exam center will behave once they are attempting the exam or the assessment, ensuring that their hardware dependencies are met. For example, if an exam needs a camera, so the camera should be working. If there is a dependency of any other thing, those all kind of hardware dependencies, like for internet, requirement is should will be there. So those kind of things are met. And of course, mm, it will be better if the student would be knowing like what type of questions will be asked. When I say type of questions, it's like whether they are multiple choice questions or short answer questions, so that they are better prepared and they are better they can better handle their anxiety levels when while they are giving the assessments. And of course, the most important point is like they have to understand that they are giving exam using keyboard and mouse and not using pen and paper probably. And so there's these kind of challenges actually are there when it comes when it comes to organizing an online exam, basically both from the proctor point of view, examiner point of view, and from examinee point of view.
Absolutely. And since technology is able to somehow resolve this problem, I think it's also essential to understand how exactly technology helps here. And also, since you brought up the topic of proctoring, uh, how much of a human proctoring is needed, and how does the technology exactly help here?
Sure, sure, absolutely. So yeah, I can go there. So for example, when the most important aspect is to avoid fraud and stop the malpractices. So that's the key point when it comes to online exam, and that's a major apprehension among the examiner body, that how what are the key things that we should do to avoid these kind of things. So the first and foremost is facial recognition. So for example, if you see in this particular slide, you see a profile picture on the top left of the screen,
Right.
which is a kind of profile picture. So a typical use case could be that whenever users are getting enrolled who will be giving the exams, their profile pictures are uploaded in the start from an authorized person. Okay, this is the person and this is the person who's going to give an exam. And then uh, while that user comes to give an exam, we ensure that we do or it is recommended essentially that you do a facial recognition using AI algorithms or AI ML implementations. So and what it does is basically it basically matches the two pictures, and if the pictures matches, then it allows you to go inside and attempt the exam. And
Okay.
in fact, this thing it doesn't need to stop here, where you just need to do a facial recognition. The same kind of concept can be applied during the complete conduct of the exams. For example, if it is a 1 hour assessment or exam that is happening, actually you can just go there uh, and ensure that these facial recognition happen intermittently based upon user movements or other parameters that can be defined, and it happens across the duration of the exam and not just in the starting. So it basically ensures the platform should ensure that the same person is the one who's actually giving the exam, and not some other fraud or malpractices are getting done while while this exam somebody is giving the exam. And just to give, since we are on this part of AI facial recognition, I just want to tell you at MapleLMS we have created a AI model using CNN and with Python libraries and OpenCV frameworks, where we train our model to ensure that our model is effective enough in mapping the users and utilizing this particular feature to enable in our platform both at the start during the start of the exam or assessment, and also during the assessment when the student is actually giving the exam. So that's how we generally it is recommended that these kind of feature should be there for ensuring that the platforms is ready. And in fact, uh, I- I'll go little further, that whenever we are training this model can not only be used for doing facial recognition. In fact, this can be used you in a video proctoring model also. So that's how the technology is can be used.
Okay, great. That looks like a beautiful and wonderful technology to me, and that also brings up a question. And I believe you know the best out of it, and probably you can explain the best. So, what do you think is the best way to utilize both AI-based and human-led proctoring together? And also, what kind of reporting features are provided to the proctors?
Right. So as I said, like uh, we can, as I said previously, like video proctoring using online tools, or the lockdown browsers play an important aspect, because it basically freezes your window to one of the application, which is the browser where you're giving the exam, and it doesn't allow user to actually move any further or to go to any other screen. So that's an important aspect out of it. But just to answer your question, like a typical journey is, uh, the user comes to the platform, does a face match, he gives an exam in a controlled manner, and then there are proctoring, whether it is AI based proctoring, whether it's just a human proctoring, or it's a mix of AI and human proctoring. So that's kind of a approach is recommended while conducting the exam. And while I say so, I think I can just tell you like how we do at MapleLMS. Uh, so uh, if I
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. So, for example, right now I am logged in as an administrator, but let me actually go and go and select the. I'll first tell you like how the a user or a learner can actually uh, sh- uh, happens there, and then I'll show about the reports, other thing. Just a
Okay.
second. It's yeah, yeah, I'm just switching the windows here. Okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry, just a little hang at my side. Uh, Seems some application is not responding. 1 second.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, something is happening, but 1 minute. I'm just. But anyways, like let me just tell you. For example, um these are the different reports that you see here. This is exam proctoring report. Then there is a device report. Then there is an exam center report. There's a grader report. So all these reports are actually there, where you can use, and you can tell you can find out what are the what are the users. For example, if in this report for exam proctoring, if I can go there and I can see the list of the exams there, and I can check whether the exams, whatever the assessments are happening, is actually there or not. So that's how you can do at MapleLMS. In fact, we can do a facial recognition also, and we can also basically do the proctoring report. We can see the list of users, their face matches, and all those kind of things that can be done here. Let me just see if I can go there. For some reasons, just is okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'll come to that point. I mean, just give me 1 minute. I'll come to that point. So this is what happens when we are conducting an online exam. I'm like from the facial recognition to browser to AI human report.
Okay. Okay. All right. And also, as we know, there's always one question about data and security. I mean, that's a major concern for pretty much everybody. So, how is the data security ensured over here? Can you walk us through about that?
Yeah. So the data security happens, for example, even if we talk about the data security, there's an the complete application aspect comes from the point of view of the architecture of the applications, and the way we at MapleLMS have defined this is uh, we have a deployment on cloud, and we do separate I would say installations for our different customers, so that their data is not uh, uh, kind of in any way can be used or can be seen by any other person apart from the authorized person. So that's how we do at our end. And regarding the data, so what we say is like your data is your data, and nobody else have access to it. Only authorized person. Even from the perspective of the system, like if because our system is role based driven, permission based driven, only the person who you want to have an access will have an access to this particular platform, and you can actually go and see the information there. uh, as I said, like each implementation that MapleLMS do is very specific to our individual customers. So at any point of time, data integrity is maintained, both from the architecture perspective and also from the system perspective. And of course, as I said, like only authorized users have access. So either it's up to you, like who do you want to define. Okay, what are the users, who are the users actually whom you want to give the access to have the data. So these are the key points that ensures the data security and privacy of each learner that is on the platform, their information and their respective information and data.
Absolutely. And I do believe that clearly defines how data security is managed and ensured. And again, you know, I understand that there are a lot of features involved with MapleLMS online exam platform. So, can you tell us what kind of features does MapleLMS online exam provides for proctoring needs?
Sure. So Maple LMS has so there are uh, in because we are hosted on a cloud, we are scalable. Our architecture is flexible enough to essentially make sure that the concurrent users are managed, and they can and it has the ability to scale to the requirement. And so it basically is you can do as small as your assessment is there, and as big as your assessments could be. So we are affordable in the lower budget, but we can grow as the need be. It's secure, as I said. It's a role and permission based system where you can go and define who will have what access and things like that. We are hosted on cloud, so there's a cloud security features that are implemented, which basically means that only authorized persons have access to our servers and things like that. So it's secure from the deployment perspective, from the implementation perspective. uh, we offer a white labeling solutions to our customers, so it is customizable so that it can be white labeled into your as per your design theme. It can be hosted on your domain URL. And of course, we provide remote proctoring tools, AI driven facial recognitions, and these kind of things. So basically, all these features makes a Maple LMS a very robust platform, and we basically it basically enables Proctor to scale, and we are the Maple LMS helps them to essentially make sure that the exams are conducted in a proper fashion. So the integrity of exam is safeguarded.
All right, Puneet. Well, thank you for sharing all that helpful insights. It was indeed very helpful, and we certainly learned much about the AI proctoring and online exams today. It does turns out to be a modern solution for online exams and proctoring, right? So before we jump into the next part where we take some questions from our attendees, do you want to take a look at your system and maybe uh, highlight the part that you were looking to show earlier?
Yes. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to show you some of the reports here.
Okay.
Uh, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to show you an exam proctoring report,
Okay.
how the system actually renders the report. So for example, here there are points that you see, which is in gray color, yellow, green and red. It basically tells you that okay, uh, uh, what are the points, what are checkpoint points that this system or this exams is having, and you can actually go into the detail of this particular exam as assessment to see the detailed report of the students or for the learners who are attempting this exam, and making sure that and see what's happening for the user. So uh, the detailed reports actually details down on a particular use learner wise report. For example, on what are the different learners, what are the things they are doing. So those kind of information is shown there, and you can see and it basically red flags the learner. For example, so this is a learner which was failed one time. There its facial recognition has failed one time. This is a learner whose facial recognition has failed couple of times. So you can actually get these kind of statistics, and this is segregated during the exam and after the attempt. So you can actually go and detail in the details also, like what are the things. But this is what the platform can actually red flag for the for the proctors, for the invigilators, to see, okay, this is how it comes. And we have a kind of a notification sections, so these informations actually come and they are seen here. So that's the one I just wanted to show this particular feature there.
All right, all right. Thank you, Puneet. I'm sure that was very helpful. And we do have a couple of questions here in the Q&A. So let's just go over the questions since we are short on time. The first question I see is from Mr. Mark Chensky. How many students can take the exam at the same time?
Well, it depends on you, like how many students you want to have exams. So our platform has taken from 5,000 to 10,000 students at the same time. And on a day level, we have conducted where around 20,000 of students have taken exam on a single day. So it basically scales to the level that how many exams you want to take.
Okay, okay. I believe that answers your question, Mark. And the next question I see is more about the support. Are there support tools available to help candidates? This is from Jonathan.
Yeah. I think this is a very important question because, as I said in the starting, it's very important to ensure when the learner or student is coming to the platform, and if they're having any kind of problems in getting login into the system, how do you handle that? So what we generally do, we put up a chat box on the login page with a knowledge base, which basically helps the learners or students to ensure that they are doing the right steps, and in case they are having difficulties, whom to contact and how to contact.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Jonathan. I also see one more question from Jonathan. Can this be white labeled?
Of course, this can be white labeled. As I said, like we can white label this setup for you. You can also host it in either of your subdomains. We can do that as well while we are doing white labeling.
All right. Jonathan, I hope that answers your question. Then we have a question from an anonymous attendee. How scalable is your system?
Right. So for scalability, as I said, like our platform is hosted on cloud, and just to give you a perspective, we are using load balancers. We are using database clusters. So we are using auto scaling of our the instances. All these things actually makes our system very scalable and secure at the same time. And we are also we use all this setup is done on a VPC network. And with the proper security groups in place for ensuring that the security is implemented at each level. So that's how we generally have done deployment on of our application, and that makes our system very scalable to the point that we have conducted a large number of exams at the same time and also on the same day.
Wonderful. I hope that answers your question. And we have a question from Mr. John Smith. I think this is an interesting question. Can Proctor block someone from giving exam if candidate is flagged for cheating?
Uh, so that there are a couple of options that you can do. One is you can mark you can mark that particular candidate for their action. You can you cannot you cannot just make the proctor that particular candidate finish the exam or assessment, but you can mark them, and you can probably talk to them using our chat widget. You can actually talk to them also. You can do a screen sharing also. All those kind of features can be enabled from the platform.
All right. I hope that answers your question, John. And lastly, we have a question from Samantha. What all is needed at the candidate side?
From the candidate side, there are two things that we recommend. The first is a laptop with the camera working. Basically, if we want to do an AI facial recognitions. The second thing we ask for is a decent internet connection. When I say decent internet connection, maybe 1 Mbps speed or a 2 Mbps speed is sufficient enough to make sure that the exam is conducted in a smooth fashion. But more the speed, the better it is. But this is the minimum qualification, and the operating system of for users or candidates must be Windows or Mac.
All right. Thanks, Puneet. Samantha, I hope that answers your question again. And lastly, I have one more question from Mr. John Smith. What kind of reports are available? I think we discussed this, but still, if you want to take it.
Yeah, so the reports that are available are right now, as I said, like these are proctoring reports. These are day-wise scheduled reports. There are reports like online, how many online users are there on the platform right now. So all these kind of reports are available on the platform to see and ensure that the exams are conducting in a proper fashion. For in a particular exam, how many people were actually enrolled and how many of them are giving the exam. Uh, those all information is available on the platform or at MapleLMS.
All right. Thank you, Puneet. Thank you, John, for your question. I hope that answers your question. And yes, one last question again. I'm sorry, Puneet, but yes, we do have questions coming in. So Samantha asks, can candidate try any practice test?
Oh yeah, of course. I This is also important aspect. At MapleLMS, we do certain things to make sure that the student is adapted to the online platform. So first is the enabling a trial exam, which you can enable maybe 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before till the start of the exam. And this is generally you keep 5, 6, 10 questions just to make sure that the student understands the platform and they can do that. The second thing we do is enabling the chat features or the knowledge base feature while the student is logging. And the third thing we do is make sure that the uh, if the exams are conducted using lockdown browsers, that can also be enabled in the trial exams if needed. So all these things we generally recommend and we generally practice at MapleLMS.
All right. Thank you, Puneet. I hope that answers your question, Samantha. So, with that being said, we have come to an end of today's webinar. But before we wrap up, uh, once again, I would like to thank all our attendees for being with us on this webinar today. And on a quick note, MapleLMS online exam platform is utilized globally by some well-renowned organizations. And if you would like to explore more, please visit our website, that is www.maplelms.com. You can also contact us at various contact numbers depending on your location. There are a variety of contact numbers available listed on our website. And alternatively, you can email us at care@maplelms.com. That's care, CARE, at maplelms.com. So I think we are good here. Puneet, thank you so much for joining, and thank you everybody. We are wrapping up this webinar today, and we hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye bye.